11.5. Yes. Can you take your headphone out, please?
It might just be the lighting, but are you trying to grow like a mustache?
So that was an experiment over break. I did not shave until yesterday just because I didn't want to shave. So then my wife was like, well, don't shave it all off. That's been like 3 weeks of work. She's like, see what it looks like. Not that she actually wants me to have facial hair, but she was like, well, what would a goatee look like on you? Because we always talk about my dad has never not had a mustache. Like ever since I've been alive, my dad's always had a mustache. So we were wondering like what would... Like, my brother doesn't grow facial hair. Like, he doesn't keep it. He shaves it off. Like, I shave it off all the time. So we were just like, it was like an experiment. But yeah, it's probably going to be...
Grow it out, then you can play a villain.
Then I can play the villain. And then I can do this.
Then you can stroke your
That's
Or you can dip your beard in hot water and call it wrong. Or
Okay.
Did
Did he curl it? Yeah. Those are sweet. Yeah. All right. Hey, peeps. So here's the plan for today. To ease back into chapter 11, because it's a pretty dense chapter, we are going to finish up this lesson. Then we're going to briefly work on a little quiz that is not going to go on map, and it is not a mastery grade that will actually matter. It is just so we can check on where we are. Then I will give you some time to work on your homework.
Wait, is it like chapter 11?
Yeah, it's 11.1 through 11.4. So it's the first chunk of the chapter that we did before break to see, do you remember what we did before break? So it's mainly to revive those memories. Now, it's going to be an open notes quiz. So it's kind of like review what we had done, bring everything back up, like, yeah. So I understand that 3 weeks off is a bad thing. So let's look at problem 4. When we look at factoring where there is no coefficient to our x squared, we're looking at factors of negative 35 and sums of factors. Why? Why do we have this little table here, which if you want to make your table nice, you can kind of draw the rest of the lines that you need. But why do we have this table? Why do we look at the factors and we look at the sums? We're looking at the factors of this value that they then want us to find a sum of this value.
Isn't it like the two numbers have to multiply together to get the negative 35, and they have to combine to get negative 2?
Yeah, we're looking for what two numbers will fill in here and here, that when I multiply with my outside and my inside, I get my negative 2x, and when I do my lasts, hey guys over in independent reading, I'm going to hope that I don't need to come over there, because you know how to read. And the x squared is assumed because we don't have a coefficient. Now when we get into 11.6 and we have a coefficient on the x squared, that changes how this process is going to work, because we cannot just look at the factors and the sum. We have to realize that that sum is going to be affected by the first or whichever coefficient, and sometimes both of these have coefficients. So right now we just have to identify what will multiply to make my negative 35, add together to make my negative 2. So we can think about options here. So negative 35, we obviously have negative 35 and 1, that doesn't matter. So what about negative 5? What if I use negative 5? What else would I? And positive 7, right? So that would sum to a positive 2. So when I see that, if I flip which is negative and which is positive, I make this negative 7 and a positive 5, then my sum would be negative 2. So I see that those have to be my values. So here I can either say plus negative 7, or I could change that to a minus. And then plus just 5. So I could make this x minus 7, x plus 5 if I wanted to clean that up. Any questions? New software. It's quicker though, actually. Like it's quicker. It's more taps, but it actually happens faster. Because back when I used to hit capture, it'd be like wait for 5 seconds. So try to get it on your own. You're looking for what will multiply to make your negative 72, sum together to make a negative 1.
Oh, yeah.
And since I know that they're negative, like my third term, my C value is negative, I can really go ahead and assume one of these will be a positive value, one of them will be a negative value. Negative 72 is even, so I can start, I know that 2 would work, I can play with a bunch of even terms, but what do I kind of know based off the B value? This middle term here, what do I know about the values that I'm going to be using? Michelle? Yeah, they're going to only have a difference between each other of 1. So think about what values that are only 1 away from each other could multiply to make 72. So what about like 9 and 10? Well, no, that's too big. 8 and 9, 7 and 8. Like, think about all those pairs. What works, Traveler?
9 and 8.
9 and 8. Which one's the positive? Which one's the negative?
8 is positive.
Because the negative's got to be stronger. 8's your positive. 9 is your negative.
Nope.
So here you could have kept listing out factors. And actually, gentlemen, you can, depending on how your brain works, you can just think about only the positive factors and realize one of them will become negative. So when I was making this list over here, I could have thought only positive factors and then choose which one's negative. Because all you have to do is get to the point where you see 8 and 9. Caleb?
So if we're actually like doing one of these like tests, will the listing matter?
No, you don't have to make a list.
Okay.
If you can just think of it, that's fine. But if you can't think of it, make a list. Because like I would have, if I hadn't identified this negative x, the next thing I probably would have done is like 2 and 36, because that'll make 72. Like if one of those is negative. And then I could think, okay, what about 3? And like I would have started building a list. But the more I think, they have to be 1 away from each other. So I can kind of get rid of a bunch of the list already, which is what we did. We just canceled out a bunch of the options. Try number 5 for a second. Give that a gander and see how that is different and what you think it's going to make us do. So there's still only a coefficient on the B term, or like the middle term. But do I have a constant? I don't have a constant value, right? I have variable squared, 2 different variables, and then variable squared again. So when we come off to the side here and make your 2 sets of parentheses, come off to the side, make your 2 sets of parentheses. We know the first values of each of these are going to be what? Just x. That we can fill in nice and easy. And then, because I see positive here, negative here, well, my third term being negative, one of them's got to be negative, one of them's got to be positive. So go ahead and put a plus and a minus. Then this term is made out of my lasts, right? This term is made from my firsts, and this term is made from my outside and my inside. So what do I know about my lasts? Those values that have to multiply by each other, Emma? There's something y for each of them because we have the y squared. So it'll be something y and something y. Then we just have to figure out what is that something. So now we can look at this as just a negative 55 and a positive 6. So if I think about the factors of negative 55, well, the first thing that pops into my head is 55, and this might be my brain, but it's a a multiple of 11. Yeah, so 22, 33, 44. So I immediately think of, okay, 11 and... Sorry. You know where my head is going. 11 and 5, which then when I'm looking for 6, are 11 and 5 6 away from each other?
Yes.
Which one needs to be stronger, the positive or the negative?
Positive.
The positive. So my 11 is my positive, my 5 is my negative. Plug it in and check, does that work? My firsts, x squared. My outside, negative 5xy. Positive 11xy. When you combine them, you get your 6xy. And then 11y times negative 5y, negative 55y squared. That works out. Any questions? Yeah.
Okay, why do we have Y's there?
So, because, thank you for asking, because this value here is not a constant anymore, it's a variable term. But I start with my x term that comes from my firsts. So this x and this x make my x squared. You with me for there? Then, for the 6xy, that comes from when I do my outsides and my insides. Now, normally what we've seen is something that would just be like negative x, or something where there's only one variable involved. But the fact that there's two variables involved here means that each of my terms has to involve an x and a y. An x and a y. So now, and you can really think of like the y. Actually, I don't want to complicate anything else. You can really just think of it as being a factor that has to be involved in both of these. So it's got to be involved in this term, and then it's the only variable involved in this term. So if this was just a constant, we wouldn't have y's here. But because it's a y squared, I know I got to have a y value times a y value, which will make a y squared value. So let's play with the got it for a second and see if that helps clarify anything. So, we know we've got m's to start, so just go ahead and set up what you know to start. Always build your parentheses with what you know, then figure out what you don't. So we've got an m value here, m value there. We've got a negative 27n squared. What do we know about this being negative and this being positive? Ryan?
Yeah, to put a plus on the first name and a minus on the other end.
Interchangeable. I agree that a plus on one of them, a minus on one of them, doesn't matter which is which.
Well, I like how this looks.
Okay. So then, do you know how to process through the rest of this?
I do. Alright, so then you would do the whole thingamajig where you put the blank space and then the n after the, yeah, there you go, because it's in
This
squared.
vocabulary is
And
beyond.
then you would just find something that
Hey, blank space, that was good.
Then you just find something that fits 27.
So we're looking for the
Multiply
factors.
27 and then sums to 6, and that would be 9 and 3.
So 9
Great vocabulary.
and 3 will work for 27, but
And then
Which-
9 is bigger.
the 9's got to be the bigger. So that's my positive, my 3 is my negative.
And then that whole shindig is the thing.
That whole shindig is the thing. Any questions about the shindig being the thing?
I need to write that down.
Well, that's what Brian just said. It wasn't
but
really...
it's funnier when you say it. Because you also have cookies right now, so.
Yeah, I don't like
I'm
potato
not
chips.
about
They leave a weird texture. Alright, questions. 11-5. Going once.
Thinking cap.
Going twice. Alright, let's try this out. So, I want you to do this in 2 laps. I want your first lap through this assessment to just be your brain. I don't care, like, you put your stuff away. I mean, clear your desk however you want to. But the second lap through, you can use your notes. So I want to see first, what do you remember from before break without using your notes? then what can you do with using your notes? That is a mega clip.
It's fine.
Alright. Working on your own, which means not talking out loud.
Wait, can I use this calculator?
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, so this is yours to keep. I don't need to like collect this or have this back. So this is yours as like a reference point. So this kind of summarizes everything we did in the first 4 sections of the chapter, because that's really like the first half of the chapter. So when finding the degree of something, how do we do degree? How do we find degree here? It's kind of straightforward. It's the exponent, right? So here it's easy. The degree is 5. And I gotta resist from writing on this because it's not a Word doc, it's PDF, and I can't figure out how my PDF ink layer is working right now. But in number 2, how do we figure out the degree? So number 1 is 5. Make sure that you have the degree of 5 there. Number 2, to figure out the degree, we've got multiple exponents. Say it louder. You add them together. So your degree here just becomes 11. So you've got 5, and then you've got 11. When we simplify the sum or the difference, that is really just combining like terms. Just a fancy way to say that. So who has number 3? Or do I need to call cards? Straveler.
I thought it was 14n cubed plus 13.
It is. It is 14n cubed plus 13.
Oh,
Number 4. Nobody for number 4?
I thought you were going first.
Well, I said, or do I need to? Caleb?
I think if I'm not just an idiot, is it 3y squared minus 2y minus 3?
Close.
Rat.
You had the 3y squared. I agree with you on that.
Oh, okay, Dave.
Michelle?
You're right.
plus 8y.
Plus 8y minus 9.
Oh, shoot, there's 2 minuses.
There are 2 minuses.
8y. Why would it be a plus?
Because minus the negative. So, Caleb, eyeballs. Minus the negative value.
Oh, you count that?
Yeah, because this is saying the opposite of everything in here. So this is really saying subtract 2y, add 5y, subtract the 3.
Oh, that's why. Okay.
This is why we're doing this. Simplify the products in 5 through 8. Really in 5 and 6, we're just distributing.
Yes. That's what I thought.
So, in 5, we get 10w cubed plus 30w squared. 10w cubed plus 30w squared.
Wait, what is it?
No, I got the first one that I
10w cubed, 30w squared.
That was a simple one though. That wasn't like
Now, 6 is a bit harder to keep all of your exponents, and I might as well write this. I'll deal with it later. Calvin, what do you have for 6?
Negative 15p to the 4th minus 3p cubed
Keep going.
plus 21p squared.
It is negative 15p to the 4th minus 3p cubed plus 21p squared. Very good, Calvin. I don't know what my computer's doing. Number 7, when you FOIL out that pair of binomials. Go ahead, Carm.
T squared plus 7t plus 6.
T squared plus 7t plus 6. And in 8, when you FOIL that out, Michelle?
2n squared minus 15n plus
2n squared, Brian?
Minus 11.
Minus 11n plus 15. Be careful with that outside inside. Do you see where your mistake was? And 9, or question?
Oh, I had a question.
Question.
about 7.
Yeah,
So,
guys. Shh.
I
understand the t squared, but where did you get 76?
So it was t squared plus 7t, not 70, like 7t, making sure that I was clear with that. Then plus 6. So the 7t comes from your outsides, makes 6t, and your inside makes 1t. So sorry, 7t can sound like 70, but yeah, 7 with the letter t. Does that make sense now?
Yeah.
Yeah, I probably said it too quickly. In 9, when we factor, our greatest common factor between 16k and 40 is an 8. So we get 8 parentheses, or quantity of, 2k minus 5.
Wait, I have a question. Does it have to be greatest common factor?
Yeah. It needs to be greatest common. Well, so it doesn't say factor out the GCF, it just says factor. But when we factor, we're looking for the greatest common factor. So you could kind of nitpick and make the argument, well, it's factored, but really we want the greatest common factor.
Can you repeat the answer?
Yeah, and actually I just realized I want to try one of these tools. It was 8 times 2k minus 5. 8 times 2k minus 5.
Oh my god.
Whoa.
10. I don't know where it's going to put it, though. Touch, where are you going to let...
Oh!
What?
Man, that was disappointing.
That was really anticlimactic.
Man, that was anti... Well, let's try again.
Try one.
In
That's the process of love.
10... Here, we needed this because 10 gets harder. So in 10, it's 3m times the quantity of 2m squared plus 2m cubed.
Oh my goodness.
See, now this is going to screw up. Yeah. Hold on, if I do this right. 3m, 2m cubed plus 4m squared plus m plus 7. That 7's probably not going to... Ooh. It's having issues with the powers.
And the 2. It's an apostrophe. The power of 2 is an apostrophe.
Yeah, so it's having... But this also didn't pick up that it's a power. I wonder if I do the little power symbol.
Carrot?
Anyone have questions on that, on 10? 11 becomes... Let's see if we can get 11 to write correctly. N squared plus 10n plus 25. It's going to make my plus sign a T. Yeah, it's having issues with the exponents. It was n squared plus 10n plus 25.
Wait, what question was that?
That was 11. N squared plus 10n plus 25.
Oh, okay, you just had 7.
Yeah. 12 was j squared minus 81. Darn it, I should have tried the
Oh, I
square
got
thing.
that.
Let's do x.
Yeah, I was like
to
saying,
the-
Hey!
It picks up the carrot. I mean, it knows what that is. And 13, the last one with really a definitive answer, is that area would turn into 6x squared plus... Oh, this isn't even worth... Alright, just listen. The area turns into 6x squared plus 13x plus 5 feet squared.
Wait.
14, there's a lot of correct answers, so you can check your own work on that if you would like. And 15, you would just need some way to explain how you actually do the process, where it represents first, outsides, insides, last, and that you're always multiplying those values. We have a few minutes left to work on your homework, and you also had break to do some of it. So, please bring any questions you ever made in class tomorrow. We will move forward and do 11-6 tomorrow then. Any other questions for today?
Pinocchio.